In the heart of the sparkling Mediterranean Sea lies the island nation of Cyprus. With its inviting beaches, ancient ruins, and rich culture, it seems like a paradise. But beneath this idyllic surface lies a complex history marked by division and tension. For decades, Cyprus has been a land split in two. A tense border, often referred to as the Green Line, separates the Greek Cypriot south from the Turkish Cypriot north. This division shapes every aspect of life on the island, and its origins remain a topic of debate. One prevailing narrative suggests the United Kingdom, Cyprus' former colonial ruler, simply gave away half the island, but was it really that clear-cut? Throughout this video, we'll delve into the history of Cyprus to uncover the truth. We'll explore the island's diverse population, the period of British rule, and the events that led to its division. By examining the complexities of the situation, we'll answer the question, did the UK truly give away half of Cyprus? British rule in Cyprus 1878 to 1960. To understand the current division of Cyprus, we need to rewind to the late 19th century. In 1878, after a war with Russia, the Ottoman Empire, which ruled Cyprus for centuries, ceded control of the island to the British Empire. This wasn't exactly an act of generosity. Britain, with its vast colonial holdings, saw Cyprus as a strategic stepping stone on the route to India, its prized possession. Now, let's talk about the people of Cyprus. Back then, the island's population wasn't as homogeneous as it might seem today. While Greeks formed the majority, roughly around 80%, a significant Turkish Cypriot minority, around 20%, also called the island home. They had lived side by side for centuries, sharing the land and its rich culture. However, with British rule came the rise of nationalist movements. Greek Cypriots, inspired by the idea of a united Greece, increasingly yearned for enosis, meaning union with Greece. They felt a strong cultural and historical connection to the mainland. On the other hand, Turkish Cypriots worried about becoming a marginalized minority in a larger Greece. They feared losing their language, culture, and political influence. The British, for their part, preferred to maintain the status quo. They weren't interested in integrating Cyprus into their empire or taking sides in the brewing ethnic tensions. This, however, did little to quell the growing desires for self-determination on both sides. Independence and tensions, a fragile compromise. Fast forward to the mid-20th century. After decades of British rule, both Greek and Turkish Cypriots intensified their demands for self-determination. International pressure also mounted for a solution. Following lengthy negotiations, a power-sharing agreement was hammered out in 1960, paving the way for Cyprus to gain independence from Britain. This agreement was a delicate balancing act. A new constitution was drafted to ensure both communities had a say in governing the island. The president would be a Greek Cypriot, while the vice president would be a Turkish Cypriot. Key positions like the military command were also divided along ethnic lines. The idea was to create a sense of partnership and prevent any one group from dominating the other. On paper, it seemed like a fair compromise, but cracks soon began to appear. Disagreements arose over the interpretation and implementation of the power-sharing agreement. Greek Cypriots felt the concessions made to the Turkish Cypriot minority were too substantial, hindering effective governance. Turkish Cypriots, on the other hand, worried that their political influence was constantly undermined. These frustrations fueled growing tensions between the two communities. Acts of violence and mistrust became increasingly common, jeopardizing the fragile peace on the island. By 1974, tensions in Cyprus had reached a boiling point. The power-sharing agreement was failing to bridge the divide between the communities. This volatile situation culminated in a dramatic event that would forever alter the course of Cypriot history. In July 1974, a group of Greek Cypriot nationalists, backed by the military junta then ruling Greece, staged a coup d'etat. They overthrew the democratically elected president, Archbishop Makarios III, who advocated for an independent and united Cyprus. The aim of the coup plotters was clear: enosis, or union with Greece. This action sent shockwaves through the island, particularly among Turkish Cypriots who feared marginalization or even violence under a Greek-dominated Cyprus. Citing the 1960 Treaty of Guarantee, which gave them the right to intervene in case of a threat to the island's independence or on the Turkish Cypriot community, Turkey launched a military invasion of northern Cyprus just 5 days after the coup. The Greek military junta, facing international condemnation and internal pressure, collapsed. However, the damage was done. Turkish forces rapidly captured a significant portion of the northern part of the island. Despite international efforts at a ceasefire, the conflict ended with the island divided. A buffer zone, patrolled by the United Nations peacekeeping force in Cyprus UNFICYP, was established to separate the Greek Cypriot south from the Turkish Cypriot north. In the aftermath of the 1974 invasion, the world watched with concern as Cyprus remained divided. Let's now turn our focus to the role of the United Kingdom in this complex situation. Remember the 1960 Treaty of Guarantee. As a signatory alongside Greece and Turkey, the UK held the responsibility of maintaining the independence and territorial integrity of Cyprus. This meant intervening if any external threat jeopardized the island's security. Following the Turkish invasion, the UK did deploy troops to Cyprus. However, their role was primarily as peacekeepers under the newly formed UNFICYP. They weren't there to fight the Turks or force them to withdraw. The UK peacekeepers played a crucial role in preventing further bloodshed and establishing a buffer zone between the two sides. They patrolled the ceasefire line, monitored any potential violations, and facilitated communication between the communities. While a full-scale war was averted, tensions simmered along the Green Line, the dividing line between the two sides. Sporadic violence and mistrust continued to plague the island. The UK, along with the international community, faced limitations in pushing for a lasting solution. The UK did participate in diplomatic efforts to find a path to reunification. However, their ability to influence events was constrained by several factors. One was the presence of other major players, particularly Greece and Turkey, with their own interests in the region. Another factor was the UK's own declining global influence after World War II. They weren't the dominant power they once were, making it more difficult to dictate solutions. Since the 1974 division, the dream of a reunified Cyprus has remained alive. Numerous attempts have been made to bridge the gap and find a solution that satisfies both communities. However, the road to reunification is fraught with challenges. Greek Cypriots generally favor a loose federation where the island becomes a single state with a strong central government. Turkish Cypriots, on the other hand, often advocate for a more decentralized model with a greater degree of autonomy for their community. In 2004, a UN-backed reunification plan, known as the Annan Plan, was put to a vote by both communities. Unfortunately, the plan was rejected by the Greek Cypriots while gaining support from the Turkish Cypriots. Negotiations haven't completely stalled, but significant progress has been elusive. The international community, including the UK, continues to encourage dialogue and compromise. Let's not forget the human cost of the division. Thousands of people were displaced from their homes in 1974, and families remain separated to this day. Movement across the Green Line is restricted, hindering social and economic interaction. Economically, the South has flourished as a member of the European Union, while the North remains largely dependent on Turkey. This disparity further widens the gap between the two sides. Throughout this video, we've explored the complex history of Cyprus, particularly the events leading to its division. We've also examined the role of the UK in this situation. The UK held the status of a guarantor power, their ability to influence events was limited. They participated in peacekeeping efforts and diplomacy, but the situation involved other major players and the constraints of their own diminished global power. It's important to remember that the division of Cyprus wasn't a unilateral decision by the UK. It was the culmination of historical tensions, a failed power-sharing agreement, and a series of events that ultimately led to conflict. Today, Cyprus remains a divided island. The scars of the past continue to impact the lives of its people. Reunification efforts face significant hurdles. Differing visions for the future, unresolved issues, and the lingering presence of guarantor powers all contribute to the complexity of finding a solution. Can a united Cyprus emerge once again? The future of this beautiful island nation remains uncertain, but the hope for peace and reconciliation endures. Thanks for watching.